chance to catch this game. What did you think? Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I did not do the sound check. I recorded it but didn't actually go listen to it, and that's why we do it.
That is why we do it.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Let's Talk Ball pod. This is the second time we're recording this intro. Had some technical difficulties, but we're here now. This is episode 17. We're going to talk Spurs versus Chelsea, which was the big match from the weekend. Going to touch on United losing a couple games in a row and their sporting director, Dan Ashworth, leaving. And then we're also going to touch on a bit of Arsenal and mix some other stuff. We're going to look ahead at the games coming on the weekend. But before we hop in all that, Spain, how you doing?
Doing well. Happy Monday. My mic is unmuted now, so good to roll. How are you?
I am great. Looking forward to talking ball again and running through some of the stuff that happened this weekend. Lots of big stuff. So let's start from the top. Spurs versus Chelsea. This one ended up 4-3. It was an exciting game. We saw Spurs go up 2-0 early. We saw Marc Cucurella falling all over the pitch, slipping and sliding, giving Spurs 2 goals early. And then Chelsea score 4 unanswered before Tottenham get one back at the end. What did you think of this game? Did you get a chance to catch it?
Yeah, I watched this game. It was really entertaining. Lots of goals as expected. Tottenham doing their thing of not closing out games. Chelsea doing their thing of scoring tons of goals. So I can't really... The game kind of went as expected in terms of lots of goals, pretty open. And yeah, pretty impressed with Chelsea, how consistently they're putting together these wins, scoring tons of goals. They're still giving up lots of chances and lots of goals, but then they're pulling out tons of wins. So they moved up to second in the league ahead of Arsenal, which I don't love to see, but they're doing their thing this year.
Yeah, they definitely are. That is 4 wins on the bounce for them in the Premier League, which has been very impressive. I think 3 wins on the bounce in the Premier League, 4 wins across all competitions. But they are definitely cooking. I think Maresca's got them playing very well, and it's got them into the title race conversation, which is kind of disgusting to say. But it has been earned. I think they look like a really balanced team, and I think their strategy of buying so many quality players has kind of panned out for them, at least so far. I think this has been good for them because they're able to participate in, I believe it's the Conference League, but without needing to really sacrifice any of their main players. They essentially have enough players to have an A team and a B team. And so I think that strategy has worked out very nicely for them, as well as Maresca seems like the type of manager that's been able to get the best out of these players, because I think when you get so many talented players in one place, ego can become an issue and things like that. But he seems like he runs, from what I can tell, a pretty fair system going on there. And it seems like he's got the respect of all the players as well. And he's just a guy that's pretty no-nonsense. You show up, you train hard, and you will play, and you earn your spot every single day. And you got to respect that, and it seems like it's getting results on the pitch as well. But yeah, going back to the game, this was really interesting to watch because I think Chelsea deserved to win on balance, but at the same time, as you pointed out before we started recording, Tottenham actually had more XG than Chelsea. And I thought Tottenham, like you said, just did a very Tottenham thing where they go up early. Their high press seems to be suffocating Chelsea. They're making mistakes. And they had chances to basically kill off the game when it was 2-0. They could have, I believe, there's one chance that fell to Son where they win the ball up high up the pitch, and he ends up getting into basically a 2-on-1 and not being able to finish. And I think there were a few moments like that in the game that defined it, because if Spurs can go up 3-0, I think they managed to not lose this game. But that 2-0 lead is so dangerous, especially for the Spurs team, because they don't seem to be able to lock it down, really calm things down when they need to. If another team wants to play basketball with them, they're going to play basketball. They're not going to take the sting out of the game. And I think that's their biggest fault, for at least from my side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was surprising to see that Tottenham outscored Chelsea in XG, especially with Chelsea getting 2 penalties, which are very high XG chances. And then Tottenham also had 6 big chances to Chelsea's 3. So yeah, the scoreline, I mean, like you said, I think Chelsea did deserve to win, but Tottenham definitely created a ton. I think Solanke also missed another big chance in there that could have made it 3 for them earlier in the game. But yeah, it was interesting or entertaining the way it started. The Cucurella point, Him slipping twice was kind of hilarious, and
Mm-hmm.
then having to change his boots right afterwards. The announcers on the stream I was watching were calling him out for not picking the right boots, but I don't really blame him too much. I don't know, it's kind of random thing, but it's kind of a freak thing in my opinion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then trying to think what else happened. The penalties that Tottenham gave up, I thought were really poor. Basuma with
Yeah.
a really dumb tackle. He was super late. There was no need to make that tackle in that area of the box. And
Yeah.
then Pat Montessar just going through the back, also seeming some frustration or just losing his head a little bit. There's no point. Palmer is towards the edge of the box going nowhere, so there's no need to make that tackle. So just two
Yeah.
dumb decisions there that gave Chelsea two easy goals.
Yeah. I
Something they
agree.
should
It
definitely
seemed,
need to clean that up.
yeah, exactly. Like it seemed like a lot of what went wrong was kind of losing their heads and more like a lot of a mentality thing. Like I think and just tactics do encourage these chaotic games, which plays into um, these chaotic moments that can lose them games very quickly. But at the same time, like you said, there were two very big individual mistakes for those penalties. Basuma is a player that I think's got worlds and loads of talent, but just seems to like not have the correct mentality to ever be like a top of the top elite player. I think he'll always be a good player, but it just seems no matter like how much experience he gets, he always just has a bonehead moment in the game for him. And then Sarr, I think, is usually a very good player, but yeah, he seems like he just kind of lost his head because Palmer was looking for that the whole way. He slowed down as soon as he felt the contact. He goes down, and he wasn't going anywhere, like you said, not in a dangerous area. I think Sarr just the chaos of the game got to him, and he committed a dumb foul, and that at that point kind of killed the game. I know Spurs get a goal at the end, but I think it was a little bit too little, too late. Um, and I do want to correct myself. Chelsea did answer pretty quickly after Tottenham goes up 2-0. Unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but it was Jadon Sancho with a nice
Oh
drive in
yeah.
from the left wing and finish. A nice, just low ping ball, like slight finesse on it, but really just kind of hit it hard and it goes in the bottom right corner. And that was honestly a big, big goal at that moment because things were going against Chelsea, and I think that brought some belief back into the team. So good for Jadon Sancho for coming in, stepping up in a big game, and delivering like that and being a leader on the pitch for them.
Mm-hmm. And speaking on Basuma's mistake, he also gave the ball away that led to Chelsea's chance get into the box there. So there's two mistakes he made on that one play.
Uh,
Anything else you want to talk about in terms of that game, or do you want to move on to talking about Chelsea's title chances?
um, I would say just in the game, I loved seeing Cole Palmer as someone that captained Cole Palmer in FPL this week. I love seeing those penalties come in, and then also I believe he basically had the accidental assist to Enzo Fernandez as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if they counted it as an assist in FPL or not,
yeah. It
but he
wasn't an
took.
FPL assist, but I would be surprised if it was a real life assist.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So I don't think they gave it to him real life, but that was good for me. Like I said, FPL wise, and I did also love slash hate the Panenka for the second penalty that
Yeah.
Palmer did. It's just so cheeky and just kind of embodies the type of player he is. He just really kind of has that swagger about him where he just really doesn't care, and he kind of like he knows he's him and he carries himself like that, and just the way that he did that to deliver it on that stage was like very Cole Palmer-esque. And I saw
Mm-hmm.
the interviews after the match as well. The reporters are asking him about it, and just I don't know what it is about Cole Palmer. I don't know if he'll ever beat the allegations of him. You know, if he wasn't a football player, people are very worried about what he would have done because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going up there or going on up there. And I don't want to be that guy that like judges people based on social media and like quick interview clips and stuff like that. But the more I see of him, the more it points that direction, which is really funny for me as well.
Yeah. Did he say anything about the penalty, or just say nothing and like I didn't think about it, just did it?
He said he doesn't practice them, but he basically was like, yeah, I didn't know I was going to do it. He said he just walked up and was like thinking about going a different direction from his first pen. But as soon as he kind of put the ball down and kind of looked up at the time, he was like, it's been a kind of crazy game. I bet this guy dives. Though he phrased it was like, "I'll put the ball down," and he's like, "I figured he was gonna dive, and then he dived," and that's like about as much explanation as he gave, which
Yeah,
is very Cole Palmer.
sounds about right.
Yeah.
Speaking of him getting a lot of points, I've been disappointed in Nico Jackson. I think I'm justified in my moves 2 weeks ago taking him out for Southampton and Tottenham, but it's just a shame that Chelsea have scored 9 goals in the past 2 games and Nico Jackson has been involved in 0 of them.
Wow, I didn't realize it was 0. I figured he would have had like 1 at least.
No goals, no assist. I mean, he was benched for the
Oh
Southampton
yeah, he
game,
was. Yeah,
which was really
You're right.
really surprising. But 9 goals, and for him to be involved in 0 is very annoying. But that's
Yeah,
FPL, baby.
I noted that he was like visibly frustrated when he got taken off the pitch. For them to have been winning the way that they were, and then him getting subbed off, he had his jersey over his face and seemed like he was really upset. So I think he's feeling the pressure a little bit as far as wanting to be able to contribute to the team. I think because Christopher Nkunku has come out almost publicly and basically been like, I think I deserve to play more. I want to play more. And so if Nico Jackson maybe doesn't start producing as much, there might be even more rotation coming his way. So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's circle back to Cole Palmer, though. I thought this was interesting. I saw Jamie Carragher talking after the game, and he had a quote saying that he doesn't think that there's been another player in the Premier League that has performed better than him, referring to Cole Palmer. And I thought that was very interesting because I do think Cole Palmer has played great this season. I'm not sure if I agree that he's been the best player in the Prem this season. And so I think that's been something interesting that I've seen circling about. It created some debates online and on Twitter, and people are mentioning, obviously, Mo Salah's having an amazing season. I think Bukayo Saka is having an amazing season, and so is Cole Palmer. So I guess out of those three, what do you think? Who's your player of the season so far? Or if it's not one of those three, who else would it be? And what do you think about the shouts that Cole Palmer's getting?
My player of the season right now has to be Mo Salah, given that Liverpool are top of the league and he's been performing like crazy in regards to his output. He comes in, he's been so consistent in returning goals, coming up with a big assist. I think he's been amazing. I've been surprised at how good he's been because coming in, just given his age, but the fact that he had the summer off, he's coming in, looks super fit, and just the consistency in which Salah's scoring goals and getting assists, especially late in games, I would have to give it to him. I don't think he's been amazing for the full 90 for every game. I think he's actually been a little poor in the first like hour or so of games, and I know that even Arne Slot mentioned that in a post-game interview. I think it was 2 games ago. He mentioned that Salah wasn't even great the first hour, but he's so elite at the end, or so good at the end of the game. And I've seen that a lot. I think he's like hasn't created even that much in some of these games, but he's just so consistent and so clinical at the end of games. So more so just his output and the position that Liverpool are in. I'm giving it to Salah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I have to agree. He's just producing at elite levels. And it's what you said about, like, he just seems so inevitable. Like, he can disappear, not be a factor, like you said, for the first hour of a game, and then all of a sudden, like, he just has that engine to keep going, and it almost seems like you said, he can have a not good game, and then all it takes is one moment, and he's gonna win the game for Liverpool or score that big goal. And it's just, I don't know, gotta respect what he's doing this season. And then for me, I think personally, I feel like Saka's had a better season than Cole Palmer, not by like a landslide. I think it's close, but I think I was looking at some stats, and bear with me because this is definitely a non-conventional stat here. But I was reading the stat on basically non-penalty goals, so not including any penalties, and then it's called a game state goal / assist. And the definition of game state goal / assist in this context is a goal when you're either losing or the game was within one. So you can be tied, winning by 1, and you score the goal to like kill the game off, make you go up by 2. And in the world football right now, the top 3 right now is Salah with 19 goals and assists, Number 2 is Lewandowski with 17 goals and assists. And then Saka comes in at number 3 with 16 goals and assists. And to give you context, to round out the top 10 is Cole Palmer with only 10 goals and assists in those game state moments. And so I know there's like a whole lot of factors that could go into this, like how good is your team? How often are you even within one goal and stuff like that? But I still think there's something to be said about these players that show up in clutch moments, like referring to Mo Salah, like he just seems so inevitable in those moments when it comes to being a difference maker. But because of the difference in that stat, I think I want to give it to Saka just because I think he's, like I said, scored some important goals. And not that Cole Palmer hasn't, but Cole Palmer has a tendency to go off in games where Chelsea's winning 5-1 or like a 4-0, like these games where they're blowing teams out, which credit to Chelsea for that. And not that Cole Palmer has no influence on that, but I think you just need to add a little bit of context to the goals and the assists that are coming out of there. Mm-hmm. And then another stat to help Saka is if you talk about the percentage of their overall goals and assists that are these quote-unquote game state goals and assists, so again, when the game's within one or they're losing, 89% of Saka's goals and assists have come in that state, compared to second place is Griezmann at 80%. Lamine Yamal, shout out to him, is at 75%. And he was also top 6 on that list from above. And then Cole Palmer's is only 59% of his goals and assists. And that's only of the 10 goals and assists that he has. So just kind of an interesting stat to look at and think about and consider when you're talking about trying to compare players. But I don't want to take anything away from Cole Palmer. Dude's been magical, incredible signing for Chelsea. Maresca came out and said, interestingly enough, that they've got a lot of good players, but Cole Palmer and João Felix are quote-unquote the players that fans buy tickets to see, which I thought was very interesting because João Felix is not a starter for them necessarily, but apparently he thinks very highly of him and considers him to be, like, I guess the second best quote-unquote football talent on the team, which I guess if you think about it, João Felix was at one point really, really hyped up as a player, and I think it hasn't quite worked out for him career-wise. I think there's been some poor career moves. I don't think Atletico Madrid was the best place for him to develop post-Benfica, I believe is where he came from, and that can definitely have a lot to do with kind of how his career's gone, but that was kind of a side note. Just thought that was kind of a crazy quote to see from Maresca.
Yeah, I mean, I guess who else would you... I mean, now that I'm thinking about the team, there's Nkunku, but he came from the Bundesliga and is still kind of proving himself. João Felix definitely came onto the scene and was a huge talent. So I guess but it's been so long. It's been like 6 years or maybe 5 years, it feels like, since he was that talent. So I'm surprised I wouldn't consider him to be like someone to buy a ticket for, given that it's been so long that he's been great and consistent.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, but I guess like good for him, and shows, I guess, what he's showing Maresca in training. So maybe we're going to see more from him, or maybe he's just someone that's going to unfortunately have to be taking a backseat to Cole Palmer since they kind of take up similar positions on the pitch, both like to roam, stay a little bit central, kind of be playmaker types. I think someone else from Chelsea that I want to give flowers to is Moises Caicedo. I think he's flying under the radar, but quietly having a very, very good season, and is one of the reasons him and Lavia are like two of the reasons that I think Chelsea has seen so much success. I think midfield was something that they struggled with for so long. Enzo just didn't seem to be able to get it together the last couple of seasons or however long he's been at Chelsea. But it looks like Caicedo and Lavia are forming a really good partnership, and they're even putting Caicedo in at right back, converting him into midfield. He just seems like he's kind of a Swiss Army knife of a player that can perform well in multiple different positions. So I think he's someone else that needs to get his flowers.
Yeah, great point. I mean, he even took over Gusto's starting spot, who is a traditional right back. So it just goes to show Caicedo's importance to the team and how good he is.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, that's all I really had there. Just to round out the original question, I do think Cole Palmer's had a great season. I think he's one of the best players in the league. I don't know if he's the best player in the league, according to Jamie Carragher, but I will say he does deserve to get his props, and it's going to be interesting to see how the race between those three players continues on as the season goes. I'm not sure if anyone else has even put themselves in the discussion. I mean, Erling Haaland is, I think, still the top goal scorer in the league, even though City's been so poor. but it just feels wrong to give it to him with the way that his team is performing. But maybe he's like the only other player to watch as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think it definitely is between Salah, Saka, and Palmer, and maybe it'll just come down to whichever team wins the league, and those players are going to be instrumental in whichever of their team wins.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I also will need to throw out a quick jab at Phil Foden, not even in the discussion. But he's been hurt, so maybe I shouldn't kick him while he's down at insult to injury. But
Yeah,
just
I think
interesting to see that fall off.
to see how far he's fallen off. I think I saw a clip, it was on Twitter, so I need to like validate it. But he was being compared to Anthony this year.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that they were comparing him to Anthony on Sky
That was
Sports.
quite the fall off.
And it wasn't even like cumulative stats. I think it was like they were comparing their per 90 stats like
Oh
on the
my
field,
god,
which is, I mean, disrespectful, honestly.
that's so disrespectful to go from Premier League Player of the Year to being compared to Anthony the following year. That's a
Yeah,
fall off.
that is a fall off for sure. I guess we never finished off. Do we think Chelsea are true title contenders at this point with where they're at? Do you see this maintaining, I guess, throughout the rest of the season?
I think they're definitely going to be fighting for it. I don't think they're going to win it. I don't think they're quite there. I think their defense is too weak for them to put up a title challenge. I think they're going to finish in third behind either Arsenal or Liverpool. I'm praying it goes Arsenal, Liverpool. But right now it's looking like Liverpool's going to win the league if I had to put money on it. But yeah, I think Chelsea finished third just because I don't think their defense is strong enough or consistent enough. I think Robert Sanchez is really poor. Their center backs are still really young and inexperienced, and they've had a few injuries back there. I don't really believe Cucurella's had a good year, but like you see, Gritty slipped. But yeah, I just don't think their back line is quite good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm aligned with you there. I think they'll be good, and I think because they're so young and weren't a part of the conversation, I think they're going to be able to ride the kind of lack of pressure for a little bit. But I think when it gets down to it, there's likely going to be problems. I think they've been, I guess if there's one team that has the squad to withstand injuries, it is Chelsea. But I could see them picking up like an injury or two that kind of slows them down. Like, obviously, if anything happened to Cole Palmer, I think that's a huge blow. But in general, I think they're just too young of a team and too prone to kind of like some of these back and forth matches. Like you said, they're still giving up chances. They're just also scoring chances at a pretty high rate. And that just is a pretty volatile approach that I don't think will win you the league, at least not at this point. And I do agree that I think it'll be, at least right now, it's looking like Liverpool. I probably got like 50-50 between Liverpool, Arsenal, and then City and Chelsea are going to be kind of fighting for spots 3 and 4, depending on like what kind of adjustments City can make to kind of bounce back, if KDB can stay healthy, and then what if they make any moves in the January transfer window as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good shots.
Yeah, but that's all we got on Chelsea, Spurs. Let's talk real quick about Arsenal, and then we can move over to United. So Arsenal played Fulham, and how did that game end up for you guys again? I think it was 1-1 draw.
Yeah, 1-1 draw. Disappointing draw. They go up early off Raul Jimenez's chance. He took the chance really well. He made a good run in behind Kivior. I don't think Kivior was really at fault there. I think it was really just a good run. I mean, if it was Gabriel, he probably would have dealt with it, I would like to think. But Saliba came over to cover, which was like half a step too slow to block his shot. He was right there to block it. I think Jimenez just took it earlier than Saliba was expecting, and it was a really good finish from Jimenez. But that was one of 2 shots for them all game. So it was a bummer to see them score early. And then we created, we played better. We outplayed Fulham for sure. The XG was 2.03 to 0.16. Shots was 12-2 in favor of us. Big chances 4-0. Possession 66-34. So we created a good number of chances. We just couldn't convert them. It was really a dagger for Saka's goal to get called off at the end for Martinelli being offside because he didn't need to be. He was looking along the line. So that was bad play by him. Just mental error there on his part. That would have added to Saka's what was the term you used? His
The
game
game
state goals.
state. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that would have been huge for us to win that late. But yeah, I think we dominated the game in terms of possession and control. Fulham's a good team; they're good defense away at Craven Cottage, and we just couldn't pull it out. We need to find ways to score more open play goals, so for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. As I watched a good bit of this game, probably like 60% of it. Like I turned on a lot. Turned it on for the first like probably 30 minutes, missed the middle chunk, and then watched the end of the game. So I saw the goal at the beginning, and then I also saw Saka's disallowed goal. I do think, at least from what I saw, Arsenal played really well. I follow a couple accounts on Twitter that really like to break down Arsenal, and they were saying, despite the result only being 1-1, they think this was one of, if not Arsenal's best performance of the season, which was really interesting to see. I would have to have watched that back to really get a sense for that and seen a little bit more of Arsenal, but I did think it was a good performance. And so disappointing that you guys couldn't come away with 3 points, but it seems like the team is still chugging along, even with a few like injury mishaps with Gabriel missing and having to shift people around. Like I believe you guys started Partey at right back and things like that. Calafiori is still injured as well. Timber went from right back to left back, so there's still been some shuffling going on there. Good to see that performance levels are still there, but I do think the results need to stay consistent as you're trying to chase down this Liverpool team that doesn't seem to be slowing down at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was just singing our praises a couple weeks ago, saying how good we were playing. We were really performing at our top performance levels, in my opinion. So we just need to find that form again, and we really need a couple players just to step up and score more goals for us, like Trossard was doing last year, some late in games. I think we maybe need to make a signing just to find another goal scorer, because we talked about this already in the pod weeks ago, but Jesus, Trossard, and Martinelli just aren't really cutting it in terms of goals. So we need to find more goals in the team.
Yeah, and still, you still have Sterling in the background as well, just kind of not even, I feel like, making it onto the pitch or making much of an impact there, which is disappointing.
So disappointing whenever he comes on. I feel like he does nothing. He's kind of dribbles, looks disinterested when he's defending even. So yeah, I've been really disappointed with him because I was excited by him when we signed him, thinking he was going to turn up and have some motivation, but have not really seen that from him.
Yeah.
So I do think we need to sign another attacker in winter, someone who can score some goals late in games, come on for us.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that's going to be. I haven't looked into those rumors, but yeah, we need some more goals.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they come, because I am personally rooting for you guys to win the title. I don't want to see Liverpool win, especially in Arne Slot's first season. And then obviously don't want City or Chelsea to win either. So Arsenal's kind of like
discuss Chelsea winning. That would be disgusting.
Yeah. If Chelsea wins the Premier League, I will deactivate all my social media and defriend any of my Chelsea friends.
Yeah, that's gonna be brutal.
Yeah,
if that happens.
So I am praying on their downfall once again. That's all we had on Arsenal. I think I wanted to talk about United versus Forest real quickly.
Quick on Arsenal, we do have a really nice, easy Christmas run coming up, where a lot of the games, I think we're staying in London the entire Christmas period. So even our away games are in London. We have a lot of home games and just a really easy schedule. So I'm hoping we can string some wins over this tight period, where other teams might have some hiccups. So that's my hope, that we can get some momentum this Christmas period.
Nice.
Get us back on track.
I need to look at that. And then how soon do you, probably not super soon, I'm wondering when that Arsenal versus Liverpool match is going to be. It looks like it is. Oh, that's going to be a huge one. Wow. You guys play them May 10th, so like one of the last games of the season. So that is going to be a really, really, really big matchup. Like Anfield is going to be jumping.
Dang. Yeah, potential title decider there.
Yeah, potential title deciding game, third to last game of the season. So it's going to be all on the line. That's going to be a huge one.
That is huge.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, let's see. Hopefully, you can pick up the points and start applying the pressure now.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to United. United played Nottingham Forest this past weekend and ended up losing that game 3-2. That is Ruben Amorim's second loss in a row in charge of Man United. As someone that watched this game from start to finish, it was very interesting because I felt United dominated periods of the game, but not the whole game throughout. So that was very difficult. Like, Nottingham Forest came out strong and scored a goal 1 minute into the match, minute 30 seconds, another set piece goal given up. And it was Milenkovic, who is a big guy, just basically towered over Lisandro Martinez, which is an issue in the box. He's great. Lisandro is great on the ball, but he's definitely a liability when it comes to certain defending situations, especially when it comes to set-piece defense and defending the box. So that was quite a gut punch for Ruben Amorim, who scored a goal early on in like 2 out of his first 3 or 4 games. The opposite happened to us. But I like the way that we responded. We responded really well by controlling the ball and pretty much dominating the next period of the match until we got our first goal with Højlund. It was a ball from Bruno Fernandes that sent Garnacho in on goal. He takes a shot, bounces off the keeper, and Højlund is there to clean up. 1-1, and we basically reset. And then Forest grow back into the game before halftime, but don't really score, not really creating a huge amount of chances or anything like that. Second half starts, and Forest come out and score immediately in the second half again, which felt like a gut punch. And Ruben Amorim touched on this in his interview after the match, but he said it really took the air out of the stadium. Like, you could feel the fans kind of go back to the, oh no, like, is this the United of old showing back up? Like, he knows that there's still that mentality both in the players and the crowd, and he's saying like that's one of the biggest jobs that he's got to do is to keep working on the routines, keep working on the process, so that the players have the utmost faith in it, so that when these setbacks happen, they're able to respond a little bit better and a little bit more positively, which I thought was a great quote from him and very honest and very realistic. But after they go up 2-1, they score shortly after off of, I think it was another set piece or like a cross. I think either a set piece or a cross to the back post where Lenny Yoro gets beat in the air by Chris Wood, who has a really good header. And they go up 3-1 at that point. We answer very shortly after to make it 3-2 with a good strike from Bruno Fernandes, but after that point couldn't really get the equalizing goal. I thought we played really well in the rest of the second half after the Bruno Fernandes goal. We dominated pretty much the whole, probably the last 30, 35 minutes of the match. I think a big difference maker was my boy Harry Maguire. I gotta say, he came on and made an immediate difference, both in terms of, I think he's really good at when we have a lot of the ball and we're kind of higher up the field and teams are trying to clear the ball. He's really good at stepping up and kind of reading those situations really well. Not so much when he gets isolated and running like back towards his own goal, but if he is like facing the goal and has time to step up, he's really good at that. And on top of that, I think he's better on the ball than Matthias de Ligt as well, which is who he replaced. I think Matthias de Ligt I think Harry Maguire gets some shame for kind of being an oaf and having these mistakes in him, but he's actually very quality on the ball as far as like his passing range. Like, he can pass short, he can pass low on the ground, but he's also got a good switch of play in him. So he can switch from one side of the field to the opposite winger or fullback really well. And I think that helps a lot. And so he kind of came on and was a big difference maker for us, but it just wasn't enough. I think one thing that really killed the momentum of the game, and I'm not here to say that that's why we didn't win. We lost because of our individual mistakes, but one thing that really killed the game was we had all the momentum in the world. We had Forest pinned back. They could not get out. Every time they got the ball, we were counter-pressing, winning the ball back. Like, I felt like we were playing like an Arsenal or City that can kind of keep these teams pinned back, which is really good to see. And then referees, one of the linemen's communications device ran out of batteries, and that killed probably like 10 minutes, or like maybe not 10 minutes, probably like 5-6 minutes of time getting that repaired. And that kind of took the air out of the stadium. And then outside of that, and then right after that, as play gets restarted, Mazraoui gets knocked in the face and is bleeding a little bit. He has to stop, get treated, and I think that kind of relieved a little bit of the pressure. Nottingham Forest were able to catch their breath, and after that, we never quite put on the same amount of pressure. So that was disappointing to see. But if I had to give my short synopsis, I think we largely played better than Forest. 17 shots to 11, two big chances to 0, 1.6 XG to 0.83. So not an absolute killing, but I thought we played better and deserved to get a little bit more from the match. But at the same time, we had big mistakes. Nottingham Forest's second goal was an absolute howler from Andre Onana. I don't know. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, the header, the back post header, Chris Woods. Oh no.
Not that.
Oh no, yeah, the one that was like at him, swerved. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing there.
Yeah, Gibbs White just basically shot it from the top of the 18, made good contact, but it's coming right at him. I think I saw the XG philosophy page on Twitter said 97. That shot had a 97% chance of being saved.
Yeah.
So just really poor from Onana,
It had
and I
some.
don't want to get. Go
It
ahead.
had some late swerve on it, but still, you gotta make that save. It was like like a foot or two to the left of him. Like he could have hit stuck his foot out.
Yeah, like I think his toe, or his cleat, maybe even still like nicked the ball as it was going in. Like it was that close to him. He just, I guess, got wrong footed and started diving the wrong way for some reason. Um, but I don't want to get too hard on him because for all the mistakes he made in the game today, he's been probably our saving grace. I think we have or had the most clean sheets in the league, or was close to it. He's got the highest stat for goals prevented in the league, and he's been one of the best. He's been one of the reasons that we've been able to stay in games. So I'll cut him some slack and hope that it doesn't continue. He seems to be like a pretty mentally strong player that even when he does make mistakes, he keeps going. So let's hope that he can clean that up. But overall, I think I'm satisfied with what I saw out of United. Definitely still have some individual mistakes and mentality issues in the team that I don't think will go away until we can kind of get some better players in there. But as far as seeing a system and seeing something to believe in, I still think Amarim's doing a pretty good job, and things will fall into place with a little bit more time. And obviously, like I said, some more change of players. But as far as change of players go, there was an interesting announcement. I believe it was this morning or yesterday. Dan Ashworth, who is our sporting director, the club released a statement that there was a mutual separation, that he was going to leave the club, and this was really, really big news because he went on gardening leave from Newcastle. This is a really high profile deal, and we essentially were trying to buy him off of Newcastle for up to 5 months at a time. Newcastle wouldn't budge until the very end, until the summer hit, essentially. So he waited 5 months of not working at Newcastle just to get to United, spent 5 months at United, and is now leaving because things haven't worked out, which is a very, very interesting problem. And I don't have all the details, but from what I've read and from what I'm listening to so far, it sounds like it truly was just a clashing of styles and a clashing of decisions at the very top. I think as Ineos has tried to figure out their structure as far as they want a sporting director and Dan Ashworth, but a technical director and Jason Wilcox. And then they have Omar Barada, who's also the CEO, who's very like football decision driven, not just money driven. It seems like there was some clashing of personalities there. And long story short, Sir Jim Ratcliffe had basically had enough of him and wanted him out, which is very interesting because of, like I said, how hard we worked to get him in. It said that Dan Ashworth was not in favor of Ruben Amorim. He wanted another managerial target, and there's a few little decisions like that were starting to cause some tensions, and I guess they cut ties. And me as a United fan, I'm trying to weigh up, one, a little bit of a mess from Ineos for how that would happen, and then people who were already criticizing the decision to keep Ten Hag, but then fire him only a few months into the season, and kind of how that decision came to be. I'd be interested to know Dan Ashworth's role in that decision, and if that played a role into him essentially getting the boot over the last couple into him getting the boot so recently. And then another thing was, is it good that they acted so quickly when they realized that things weren't working out, or bad that they were able to make a decision that they had to revert in 5 months? I'm not really sure where I land on that. I think both those things have their merit, but regardless, not a good look from the club, and interesting to see where they're going to go with that.
Mm-hmm. It's just really surprising to see that Ineos hired this guy and then they're already having disputes. You would think that they would figure out that this is really the guy they need and would come across this issue only 5 months into the job. So yeah, it was super surprising news to see this happen. I'm really interested to get more information on why they were arguing or why they were at such a conflict and why they came to this decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, just not a good look for United or Ineos at all.
Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't disrupt the process too much. A lot of what I'm hearing is that, which I can empathize with, is there's never been a football structure like this at United for them to kind of, that they were, like, they created this football structure with the arrival of Ineos. And I think something that played into it is I feel like they started to realize that there was maybe a little bit too much overlap in the big dogs at United as far as decision making and who's in charge of what and whatnot. And I think some people were maybe starting to feel that he was either redundant or there was just too many cooks in the kitchen, for lack of a better term. So it'll be interesting to see if they replace him with a sporting director or if they just try and move forward with the current structure and decide that they don't really need to replace a quote-unquote sporting director and they let other people kind of fulfill the roles that he would have been responsible for.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like Ineos almost is taking like a pretty active role when if they were hiring Ashworth, they would let him make more decisions, but I have not done much digging into it.
Yeah, and I guess from what I've been at least hearing, like I said, I don't know all the details, but it sounds like they trust Omar Barada and the technical director, Jason Wilcox, to kind of make some of these same decisions that Dan Ashworth was trying to make. So maybe that's why I think maybe they just decided that they want to bet on these two guys more so than Dan Ashworth. So who knows what's going on in those back rooms. I still don't quite understand exactly what the roles are and how things fall into place. But all I care about is that United can see some consistency on the field and that it doesn't affect our recruitment strategy too much, because we desperately need to get some new players in and be smart about the business that we do. I don't think we'll do anything in January anyway. If we do, I think it'll be a left wing back and that's it. But yeah, just a situation to monitor. Let's see. That's all I had on United. I want to, real quick before we talk about FPL, let's just look ahead to the games next weekend. We're going to do a new segment here. I want to call this Speed Predictions. Might come up with something more clever before that, but what I want to do with you, Spain, is look at the games that we got going on next weekend from top to bottom, and we're going to do them pick'em style, just like we do in the Sleeper League. And I just want to hear, who do you think is going to win, or if you think it's going to be a draw. And so we don't need any explanation as to why. Let's just go down the list and see what you think.
All right.
We can look back and kind of compare. So first game on Saturday, we got Arsenal versus Everton.
Arsenal.
Nice. Easy one. Liverpool versus Fulham.
Is the first team home and the second team you're saying away? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Liverpool.
Okay, we got Newcastle at home versus Leicester.
Newcastle.
Okay, we got Wolves at home versus Ipswich.
Wolves.
Okay. Nottingham Forest at home versus Aston Villa.
Forest.
Wow. Okay.
Forest are good this year, and Villa just had a good win, but yeah, stick with Forest at home.
Okay. Sunday games, we got Brighton at home versus Crystal Palace.
Draw. Brighton are so consistent.
Yeah. And then big game, Manchester Derby, Man City at home hosting Manchester United.
Ooh, I'm gonna go draw. I think United are gonna be up. I think United are gonna be up for this game, and City are unconvincing.
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. Chelsea at home versus Brentford.
Chelsea. Brentford are bad away.
Okay. And then we have Southampton at home versus Spurs.
Southampton
Wow.
at
That's a big
home.
call. That's a big call. But Southampton's, they look shambolic at times, but they can put together
They
some
do.
decent footy. They can. And then last
There's
game of
no
the
bias in
weekend,
that. No bias in that one at all. I swear.
at all, no way. Last game of the weekend on Monday is Bournemouth at home hosting West Ham.
Bournemouth.
All right, I like that. You handled that like a champ. Um, I will run through and give my own. I did not even clock what you said, so hopefully we don't say the exact same thing.
Cool. You want me to? You want me? Let me call them out. I think that
Okay,
works a little
yeah.
better. All
Okay.
right. So Arsenal at home to Everton.
Yep, give me Arsenal.
All right. Liverpool hosting Fulham.
Give me a draw.
Okay. Ooh, nice. Newcastle hosting Leicester.
I want another draw.
Wolverhampton hosting Ipswich.
Wolves.
Nottingham Forest hosting Villa.
I'm going to go draw in that one as well.
Okay. Lots of draws. Brighton hosting Crystal Palace.
I'll go Brighton.
All right. Manchester Derby. City hosting United.
Nice. I'm going Manchester United. Big win on the road. Ruben Amorim beats Pep twice in I think it's a month or two. And I would love to see the head loss from City when it happens.
Nice. Chelsea hosting Brentford.
Give me Chelsea.
Southampton hosting Spurs.
Just because of the inconsistency, give me Spurs because their inconsistency goes back the other way.
Yeah. Southampton do give away so many chances, so it most likely will be Tottenham. And then Bournemouth hosting West Ham.
Yeah, give me Bournemouth.
Yeah. At home, I like that a lot just because don't trust West Ham at all. They've been bad.
Me neither. I was watching the game today, West Ham versus Wolves, and I feel like very interesting game because I feel like both teams were bad, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty boring game. Not much quality.
Yeah, like tons of shots, but like wasn't overly impressed with like how either team was playing either.
No, they were both bad. But Liverpool, I think Fulham to draw at Liverpool, I love that shout. Hoping Fulham do that because, like I've been saying on the pod, Fulham are the second team we're rooting for this year, so it'd be huge for Fulham to do that and help out Arsenal.
Yeah, Liverpool at home is always going to be such a tough fixture. I just think Fulham is a physical enough team to kind of keep up with Liverpool's athleticism. Do I think they really have that much of a shot? No, but it was kind of wishful thinking when I said draw, but I think it's definitely possible. Like more, it's not like a complete shot in the dark. So,
I mean, Anthony Robinson's a beast, so he can definitely help lock down Salah like he did against Saka.
I agree. I think I just think they match up decently well, just as far as being able to keep up with like Liverpool likes to be fast and dynamic and all that, but I think Fulham has athletes in their team. So,
All right, you want to chat a little FPL before we wrap up this podcast episode?
yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I'll run through the points for this past week for you and I both. You had a great week. I had a poor week. You finished on, looks like 70 points. You made no transfers. You had a nice green arrow going from 2.3 OR, 2.3 million to 1.7. Want to talk us through your team and your thoughts on holding your transfers this week?
Yeah, so coming into this week, I really wanted to beef up my back line, but I couldn't do that without making some sort of double move, and I didn't know what double move to make. I was eyeing up maybe downgrading Semenyo to someone like Ahmad and trying to save some money there and then reinvesting that in my defense. But I was I should not have been, but I was a little scared to go triple United and then not pick up a defender that was basically guaranteed to perform. I knew Rico Lewis was probably going to get the start, and he was the defender that I was thinking about taking out. So I said I've been too reactive over the last few weeks, like basically over the last month and a half. I keep making transfers or taking hits every week, and it seems to be backfiring. So I said, let me just chill, relax, and like kind of stack up some transfers and like get a little bit more data in before I make any like big calls. And that was really my main motivation going into the weekend, and that's what I did. Ended up working out because Rico Lewis scored a goal, also got himself a red card. So that's something I have to address pretty immediately now, because my other defenders also don't play. Or Mikolenko got his game canceled, and then Greaves for Ipswich was just randomly not in the squad, even though he wasn't injured. So that was really interesting. And then Gabriel is also still banged up. So I need to figure something out ASAP with that defense.
Yeah, the fact that you had 2 players in your starting team not play but still come out with 70 is really good.
Yeah. My Hoyland differential finally panned out for me.
Yeah, that was big.
I felt good about that. I am worried about rotation. Rumored Amarim has come out and said he wants to rotate the squad pretty heavily to prevent injury. But we'll see. I think he's starting to figure out who his favorite players are, so I think the rotation will reduce a little bit. That's my prediction. So that's something to monitor, because I do think the team looks better when Ahmad and Hoyland start. And then I think a better pairing is Rashford and Xerxes, but they seem to be second choice on the field right now. So just something to monitor for my team. As far as moves going into next week or coming into this weekend, we'll see. I still might get rid of Semenyo. He's just been pretty disappointing despite having good opportunities and good matches, good fixtures. I think I'm ready to just get rid of him. I might go with Amad Diallo just because, like I said, he's slowly becoming one of our most important players at United. United seems to at least be able to score some goals, and he seems involved in a lot of what we do. And he could help free up some cash is really what I am looking at him for. He's like gone up from 4.9 to 5.1 mil. And if he's going to keep performing well, I might want to get in early and see if I can accumulate some value there, just because I know United fans are crazy about their players. So if he performs even decently well, I think people will continue to buy him. I could farm up some value there while also freeing up some money to improve other parts of my team. So I think that's where I'm looking, but we shall see. I need to think a little bit harder because I've also got Rico Lewis, but I got 2 free transfers to work with, so got some flexibility.
Yeah, if Gabriel's still injured and Lewis is out in a red card and Greaves is not playing, if he's dropped from the team for some reason, you're looking at a pickle in defense. So definitely need to at least make 1 transfer to get 3 starting defenders out there. Nice.
Yeah, that's all I really got on my team. I guess I should call out, I forgot to talk about my captaincy call. I was staying up late Friday, and I started seeing rumors of the Liverpool game not happening, and I thought it was perfect because I was already thinking about captaining Palmer as a differential against the crowd, because I thought pretty much everyone in our mini league and in general was going to captain Salah after he just seems so inevitable as far as fantasy. I think he's on track to break his own record for best FPL season ever. And as soon as I saw the news that the game wasn't happening, I knew it was late at night and most people had gone to sleep already and probably weren't going to wake up early enough to see that the Liverpool game was canceled or for the deadline. And I assumed most people didn't even have Palmer vice captain, so that was the selling point for me. I said Palmer could haul against Spurs. It's going to be an open game. Chelsea just came off producing the most XG in a game that they've had all season. And so it just seemed like a easy differential for me, and it panned out really well in my favor.
Nice. Yep, great call there. Definitely paid off. But yeah, so with my team, I scored 42 points this week, so disappointing week. I was on 4 straight green arrows, which was great. 3 in a row since my wild card. Felt good about my team. But I took 2 transfers late Friday night. I did Bruno and Wissa for Gordon and Isak. I was really debating whether to make these transfers or whether to roll and bring in Isak this week. It came down to I was probably going to bench Bruno anyway this week. and start Semenyo over him just because I wasn't loving what I was seeing from Bruno. And then I was also looking at Wissa versus Isak at that point, and I liked Isak's head-to-head fixture this week playing against Brentford just because I thought Brentford's defense was worse than Newcastle's. Isak did outscore Wissa by 1 point, so it didn't really matter, even though Isak rounded the keeper and should have scored, so he should have had 2 goals. So a little frustrating there. But Bruno, I didn't see his goal, or I didn't really watch that game, so I wasn't sure if that was a good move to bring him out. I saw he did hit the crossbar on a free kick, so got scared there. But just looking over at the next 3 weeks or so, I really liked Isak over Wissa, especially for this, or I liked Isak over Wissa better this week and over the long term for sure. And then I was just looking at a midfielder that I could afford, and Gordon came up because he looked good in the last game, and Newcastle's fixtures are really great if they're the short term. Unfortunately, he got benched this game. I thought that could happen because I saw that Barnes was healthy and Barnes has been playing pretty well. But I expect Gordon to come back next week and start for Leicester and Ipswich over the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. I think I could see that Gordon panning out really well. And if he's combining with Isak as well, which I think they do often, could be a good double whammy in your team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so did pay off this week, but I'm hoping over the next 2 to 3 it will. Other than that, I really like the structure of my team. So I was happy to use both my free transfers. Hoping to roll the next 2 or 3 weeks to build, next 1 to 2 weeks to build up some transfers going forward. But yeah, I like my team overall. Got the captaincy wrong. Captain Salah, had the vice on Saka instead of Palmer. Didn't expect the Liverpool game to be cancelled, so didn't really put too much thought in my vice captain. But yeah, a little disappointing week overall. The only real point scorers for me were Isak and Palmer. And then, yeah, wow, that's it. That's kind of crazy. I guess Saka got me 4, but not much there. I was expecting more from Nico Jackson, as we mentioned earlier in the pod. So I kept Isak over Jackson, or I kept Isak in addition to Jackson this week. Really got burned last week going Isak to Jackson, thinking Isak might not start because he got pulled the week before early in the game due to injury. But Chelsea's scoring tons of goals, so I wanted Isak and Jackson. I like them both up top a lot. Strikers are really scoring a lot with the bonus point system shake-up this year. So I like my structure a lot with Isak, Jackson, and Yao Pedro up top with a really strong midfield. So yeah, I'm happy with the team. I'm going to ride it out for a while, I think, making small transfers here and there.
Nice, yeah. I'm looking at your team, and I like it a lot. You still got Arsenal defense representation with Timber. I think, like you said, Newcastle and Chelsea probably have the best long-term fixtures, I feel like, out of like any 2 teams. I'm not sure if anyone else is in there, but I guess out of teams that I think you can reasonably expect to also actually score or assist and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I like having both Isak and Jackson in there. Even though Jackson has been disappointed over the last 2 weeks, I still think those fixtures are worth it. And Chelsea seem to be creating and scoring a lot of goals, so he's got to get involved eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, in general, I just feel like you still got you got the big 3 that I think most teams need to have right now: Salah, Palmer, Saka as well in the midfield. So yeah, just good overall structure. I agree with you, and hopefully the rolling will work out and let you be able to be flexible as the fixtures come thick and fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Gotcha. You got anything else?
No, nothing else for me.
Nice. Well, I'll keep an eye on the FPL moves. Still not sure what I'm going to do, like I said, and then also keeping an eye as we move forward into the next week of footy. We got Champions League tomorrow and Wednesday, Europa League on Thursday, and then Premier League is back by Saturday morning. Lots of fun games to look forward to. I think in Champions League this week, we've got City versus Juve is a big matchup. We've got Dortmund versus Barcelona. I'm not sure if there's any other blockbuster matches in there, but should be a lot to look forward to and speak about when we reconvene.
Yep, looking forward to all the soccer. Big Manchester derby for you this coming weekend.
Definitely. I'm excited for that one. I think it's the first Manchester derby where we're going into it where it's like not. I think City obviously is still going to be favored with them being at home and them still being Manchester City. But I think this is the first one we're going into it where people aren't like, "Oh, Man City's going to beat United like 7-0." So exciting as a United fan.
Nice. Yeah, well, good luck on that.
Thank you, thank you. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Sounds good. See you.